You're looking at the faces of human fecal matter. People so deplorable, even their mothers couldn't love them. These cheating, greedy, human impersonators chose to put profits over the safety of babies and children. Let's get into why these life-size piles of poo are on my channel. Hello strangers and strangelings, welcome back to another episode of Strange Bar and Grill. This is a throwback story to when I first began my channel, and if you've been with me for a while, then you'll probably remember the story, but I had to remove it because YouTube didn't like it and was giving me a bunch of crap for it. So anyways, I always thought this was a very interesting story, so I re-edited the story, and I just wanted to re-share it again for any of my new viewers. Let me know what you guys think, because I have several other stories that I might do the same thing for. But before we get into today's story, if you guys like true crime and storytelling, then this is the place to be, here with me, JP. So kick back, grab a drink and a snack, and make sure to tip that like button. Join that SBG family by subscribing and hitting that notification bell. Make sure you're getting notified when I release a weekly video. All right guys, let's go. The 2008 Chinese milk scandal was a significant food safety incident in China. The scandal involved Sanlu Group's milk and infant formula, along with other food materials and components, being adulterated with chemical melamine, which resulted in kidney stones and other kidney damage in infants. The chemical was used to increase the nitrogen content of diluted milk, giving it the appearance of higher protein content in order to pass quality control testing. 300,000 affected children were identified, among which 54,000 were hospitalized, according to the latest report in January 2009. The deaths of at least 6 infants were officially concluded to be related to the contaminated milk. The timeline of the scandal dated back to December 2007, when Sanlu began to receive complaints about kidney stones. One of the more notable early complaints was made on May 20th, 2008, when a mother posted online after she learned that Sanlu donated the milk she had been complaining about to the orphans of the 2008 Sichuan earthquake. And of course, these greedy bastards did nothing. I'm sure they sat by idly, did not care one bit. They could have did the right thing, but that would mean they were decent people. So of course they had to double down on their BS and continue pumping this poison out to these children. Also on May 20th, the problem reached Sanlu's board meeting for the first time, and they ordered multiple third-party tests. The culprit, melamine, was undetected in the tests until August 1st. On August 2nd, Sanlu's board decided to issue a trade recall to the wholesalers, but did not inform the wholesalers the product was contaminated. Greedy bastards. However, Shizhua Zhuang's deputy mayor, who was invited to attend, rejected trade recall and instructed the board to shut the mouths of the victims by money. That's a direct quote by this guy. Wait until the end of 2008 is what he told them. He continued, the Beijing Olympics will end smoothly, and then the provincial police would hunt the perpetrators. Basically just another greedy corporate, recycled, digested piece of food squeezed from Satan's anus himself is what this guy is. Typical greedy corporate bastard. I mean, if we're being honest here. Anyway, let's continue. New Zealand dairy giant Fonterra, which owned a 43% stake in Sanlu, were alerted to the contamination during a meeting. Fonterra alerted the New Zealand government, which alerted the Chinese government. The Chinese government made the scandal public on September 13th. So thank you, Fonterra, for making that information recognized, because they for sure were going to sweep this under the rug. So shout out to Fonterra. After the initial focus on Sanlu, further government inspections revealed that products from 21 other companies were tainted as well, including those from Arla Foods, Ming Nui, Yili, and Yashili, and I'm sure I screwed all those names up, so apologies. In 2022, an article was written about one of the babies who drank the tainted milk. The baby's name is Lena. The baby survived, but suffered from permanent intellectual disabilities, and I want to kind of get into that a little bit before I get into the rest of this story. So it's been more than 13, maybe 14 years since Lena drank the melamine tainted milk powder, and it totally just altered the course of her life. She was one of the 300,000 babies who drank the milk formula. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but that melamine is a banned chemical. So it's known to have adverse effects on people, so it's banned. Lena, who turned 14 in October, has an intellectual age of a 6 or 7-year-old, and she struggles to do basic math. She can't do 2 + 3 without counting on her fingers. So she's 14 years old, and she can't even do 2 + 3 without counting on her fingers. This is what that milk product did to her. She has difficulty in primary school and was often bullied for her low intelligence by the other kids, according to her mother. So normal schools just are not suitable for Lena, and her family just cannot afford to send her to a special school for children with special needs. And her family just wants her to basically receive the proper education that she deserves, but the Sanlu group robbed her of that, robbed her of this life. Horrible, horrible. And they've done this to multiple people, not just her. Multiple people have been affected this way. So the only good thing that came about this scandal is that, I mean, you can't really say a good thing, but the Chinese government did tighten regulations on baby formula, like severely tightened them, which, I mean, those regulations should have been in place to begin with. There were several consequences handed down over this scandal. The Sanlu group was severely punished for what happened. But what happened was something you rarely see across the world when these types of scandals happen. The Chinese government didn't just stop at the company. The employees would not get to walk away from this after paying a simple fine. There would be actual consequences. A total of 21 Sanlu officials were put on trial. They were charged with endangering public safety and selling toxic foods. Good on the Chinese government, good on them. And those charged weren't just low-ranking employees. The government pursued those directly and responsible. And that's amazing because typically they take the lower-level employees and slap them while the CEOs and the C-level and all the top execs get away scot-free. 4 top executives of the company were charged. Among them was Sanlu Group's chairwoman and general manager, Tian Wenhua. She became one of the highest-ranking business executives to be prosecuted in China. Many viewed her as chiefly to blame for what happened. The parents of the victims were not allowed to attend the trial. However, the proceedings were televised. The 4 executives were tried jointly and seen in court together. The executives were treated like ordinary criminals, as they should be, because they are ordinary criminals. They attended the proceedings in standard-issued yellow inmate uniforms. Great. Embarrassed the hell out of them. Horrible, horrible, poor excuses of humans. So I wanted to list some of the names of those who were prosecuted. So from the Sanlu group, we have the former chairwoman, Tian, one of the former executives, Wang Yuliang, former executive Hang Jiku, former executive Wu Jixing, and I know I'm butchering these names. I also don't care because these people right here, these criminals are not worthy of respect, so I don't give a shit. And then the producers, Ging Jinping and Ging Jinzhu. And then we have several middlemen: Zhang Yuzhen, Gao Junji, Zhang Yanzhang, Chu Jianzhong, Zhang Yanjun, and Chao Yu. I probably screw those names up, but again, I don't care about these guys. They're criminals. If I was saying someone respectable's name, I would try to get it correct, but I don't care about these guys. Screw them. Many parents were outraged. For them, this still wasn't enough. More business executives needed to be charged. They believed they needed to be punished more severely. More companies needed to be prosecuted, and more compensation needed to be paid. And I 100% agree. Burn that whole freaking company down. Prosecute everyone. Anyone that had anything to do with it, touched it, prosecute them. Like, this is ridiculous. It's insane. It's a travesty. It's horrible. Like, how can this shit go on? Like, these people have families of their own. Why would they do this to other people's families? They wouldn't want that done to their family. Unfortunately, they would not get most of these things that they requested. They did get some form of justice. They did prosecute some top executives, which has been unseen before, but unfortunately, they didn't get everything they requested. So I feel bad for those families. They were treated like crap. And still, they never really got full justice to what they felt was necessary for their families. But nearly 30 government officials were fired or forced to resign for covering up the scandal or just not taking proper action. Among those removed was the minister of a food certification agency. Every single defendant, including Wenhua, was found guilty. So the sentences that they received, again, so from the Sanlu group, you have the former chairwoman, Tian Wenhua. She got life plus a $3.6 million fine. The former executive Wang Yuliang got 15 years plus a $3.5 million fine. The former executive Hang Zhiki got 8 years plus a $133,000 fine. Then the former executive Wu Jixing got 5 years plus an $88,000 fine. The overall company received an additional $7 million fine. So then the producers, Ging Jinping, got death. Yeah, you heard that right, death. The Chinese are not playing. Ging Jinzhu got 8 years plus $73,000 fine. And then as far as the middleman, Zhang Yuzhen got death. Yeah, not playing. Gao Junji got a suspended death sentence. Zhang Yanzhang got a life sentence. Chu Jianzhong got life. Zhang Yanjun got 15 years, and Chao Yu got 5 years. So the Chinese are just handing out them sentences like they should. That should be the president everywhere in the world. The US, the UK, wherever, Australia, Canada, everywhere. That should be the presidents, I believe. Let me know what you guys think. Is that going too far? Or should these corporations that are playing with people's lives have to put up their own life? Eye for an eye? Is it fair? I don't know. You be the judge. Let me know in the comment section. In China, a suspended death sentence, they're usually automatically commuted to life terms after 2 years. That is, unless the convict, commits more crimes or is found to have committed other crimes which were previously not known. Now, I wanted to talk about the two people that got the death penalty. Ging Jinping had sold more than 900 tons of tainted milk. Zhang Yuzhen had produced and sold hundreds of tons of melamine-laced protein powder. That is why they were condemned to death. When asked about melamine, Jinping said, "I never asked and I never thought about it. I only know it's bad for health." During his trial, he knelt on the courtroom floor and begged the victims' families for forgiveness. Jinping's assets were confiscated in their entirety. He and Yuzhen were permanently stripped of their political rights. Having lost their belongings, their rights, and their freedom, the two men appealed for their lives, the only thing they had left. The courts rejected their pleas. Jinping and Yujun were shot on November 24th, 2009. The Chinese do not play, they get straight to business. Now let's speak about the chairwoman Wenhua. I'm probably still not saying that correctly. I still don't give a shit. Basically, she admitted to learning that the milk was tainted months in advance. She said she did not submit a written report to the government until 4 months later. Jing Shuzhen directed most of her rage towards the former chairwoman, stating, "She could have been shot. So many children died, but they kept the official number down so that she could get life, not death." Another parent said Wenhua was more culpable than her fellow executives since she was fully aware of the severity of the situation. The others were just greedy, but she knew that children were getting sick and could die, and she didn't do anything, end quote. Wenhua, now in her 80s, remains in prison to this day. She is serving her sentence at the Hebei Provincial Women's Prison. In China, life sentences are generally commuted to terms of years, as long as the prisoner maintains good conduct. The law mandates no less than 13 years or 20 to 25 years if the convict initially received a suspended death sentence. In 2011, Wenhua had her life term reduced to 19 years. She has since received 2 more small sentence reductions. Her current term is 15 years and 3 months. Wenhua is scheduled for release in 2024. However, when Wenhua is released, she will not be returning to business. There will be no company waiting for her return. In December of 2008, Sanlu Group was forced to declare bankruptcy. Its assets were auctioned off. The company, which was founded in 1956, had been completely annihilated.